Today is the 3rd of February, which means it's been exactly 1 year since I did my first upload and started the River Foss fishing channel. This video really needs to begin with a massive thank you to everyone who supported my channel over that year. I've really enjoyed engaging with you in the comments, and your support has driven me to hopefully make better and more engaging videos. This special episode marks the 1 year anniversary, so I'm going to look back over my videos of the past year and pick my top 3 captures that I'm going to share with you, and hopefully get a little bit into some of the rigs and baits I used to land these fish. I'm then going to answer some of the questions that you've kindly been sending in, so without any more ado, let's get into my pick for capture number 1. On this occasion, I'd chosen to go and fish a new spot. I was on the River Derwent, somewhere between Kirkham Abbey and Howsham, and I was walking along fishing a whole bunch of slacks. I was only spending up to 20 minutes in each slack. I was looking for those pike that were just sitting there waiting for a meal basically. It was cold and I wanted to keep moving. I remember I'd fished for probably 2 hours by this point, just lowering the rig in and had absolutely nothing. Then I found this one swim. It was down a slippery mud track, it was treacherous to get to, and there was only a really narrow spit of land at the bottom of this. So I almost didn't fish this, but in the end I slipped and slid down this hill and got set up. I lowered the rig in a few times, got the float set, and it was straight away off with a pike. I landed this pike and it was an absolute cracker. I almost then decided to move on. I'd had that one fish, what was the likelihood of having 2? But at the last moment decided to get the rig back out there, and I got a PB fish from that. A 16 pounder, an absolutely cracking pike. The rig I used for this was really straightforward. It was just a simple float ledger setup. So you have a free running lead up to a float with a float stop, or on this occasion I used like a sliding knot. And then you obviously have your trace connected to that, and I was fishing a smelt, just a small, unusual bait. The pike loves smelt. It's one of my top pike baits. My next fish took me so long to catch. As the title of this video suggests, 10 months. I was going after barbel. I really wanted one from the River Ouse, but this just didn't happen. I remember deep in winter fishing, and I actually hooked one, and I got it so close to the bank, but then it managed to slip away, and I was absolutely gutted, as you would be. Then summer rolled round and I switched tactics. I started fishing the River Nid and soon fell in love with that river. It has everything that I look for in a river. It's small, it's fast flowing, there are slacks, it's overgrown and it's wild. It's absolutely fantastic river. The barbel in here as well fight like the devil, and if you hook one, you just have to hold and hope. On this occasion, I'd fished quite a few sessions, and I remember one session that I'll probably never forget. I hooked 3 or 4 barbel, and all of them managed to get into snags and get away. I was absolutely heartbroken from that session, but I persevered and I got back, and in the end I did manage to catch some really nice fish. So the bigger one of these is going to be my pick here. The rig I was using to catch these was a standard free-running feeder setup. I had a free-running ring with I think a 30-gram feeder on, and this went down to a quick change and about a 3-foot hook link. This was onto a size 10 or 8 hook, and I was hair rigging some halibut pellet, I think. So a fantastic barbel bait. I'd highly recommend those if you haven't tried them. My final pick might not seem too remarkable, but being River Foss fishing, I had to pick a final fish from the Foss to finish off with. Whoa, that's a bit of a mouthful. That could be like a tongue twister. Anyway, I was down on the River Foss. I'd just got my first ever centre pin, which was a cheap one off eBay, and I just wanted to try it out really. So I was using a stick float onto a hook link and on the centre pin. And I remember getting down to the Foss, and it was just one of those days. I hooked a number of really nice chub, and fighting them on the centre pin was a bit of a new experience. It's one that I really enjoy. You just feel in more contact with the fish. Obviously when the fish pulls, it just takes line directly from the centre pin, and the only thing that's stopping it is your thumb essentially. You can just feel all the pulls and the drags of the fish, so it's a really, really exciting way to fish. I landed a really nice chub and I hooked an even better one, but it absolutely buried in the weed and got away. So I was gutted with that, but I think that was probably my personal best chub from the River Foss on this occasion, on the centre pin. Since then, a kind viewer gave me another centre pin that I upgraded to, and I use a lot now, and I've caught some really cracking fish on that as well, from places like the Derwent and the Wensum. So I'd highly recommend centre pin fishing if you haven't tried that already as well. Well, I just want to thank everyone who sent in questions. I had some really great ones and ones that made me actually think of the answers before I can even answer them. So let's get into the first one, which I need to look what it is. Well, this is actually a three-parter, starting with what is the best Yorkshire fish? The best Yorkshire fish, I would say, is probably barbel from the River Nid. Fantastic. We've already covered that actually a couple ago in one of my top 3 picks. Which fish is the most fun to catch, however? That changes things slightly. And my answer to that would have to be chub on the River Foss. It doesn't get better than that. It's a small river. The chub are enormous for the size of the river. Brilliant. One more. If I could travel anywhere in the world to go fishing, where would I want to go? Yeah, probably 2 main places. One would be to catch arapaima in the Amazon. They're an absolute phenomenal fish. Go and check them out if you don't know what they are. They're enormous. The second one would be somewhere like North America, Canada, possibly Russia, to go ice fishing for some big pike. I think that just appeals to me somehow. Maybe I just like being cold, who knows. The next question, is that the John Wilson rod? Bear that in mind 1 second. Yes, it is the John Wilson rod, John Wilson debut. And the story behind this is, years ago I used to go fishing with one of my really good buds, and this is back in high school really, start of high school, and we'd fish all the time. And then obviously you go to university and things like that, and we didn't really fish again. And then when I took it up again more recently, he kindly lent his old trusty rod into my care, which he got for one of his teen birthdays. So I've obviously modified it a little bit since then, putting the centre pin on, and there was no screw-in quiver tips for it. So I managed to get a few and had to fiddle around with them a little bit to get them to work properly. But now I actually use it in loads of my videos. I really enjoy the action on it, and yeah, it's a brilliant rod. I will probably go barbel fishing. In the next few weeks is looking unlikely. Unfortunately, where I am at the moment, there are just no barbel rivers. The River Wensum, which is one of the big ones in Norfolk, used to have a really good stock, but over the years, unfortunately, that's just depleted and dwindled to nothing. So it's very unlikely I'll be catching any barbel where I am. I need to go back up to Yorkshire, and is that going to happen before the close of the river season in the UK? Very unlikely. So the next barbel fishing videos will likely be June. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't do a huge amount of perch fishing, so I couldn't comment on that. But one of the things I could say is I know they like structure, things like that. So around York Centre, I would look at Foss Basin, along the Foss, possibly along the sides of the River Ouse. And I would probably go, if I was going to target them, drop shot right next to the walls, right next to the structures. Pike fishing, similarly, Foss Basin is going to be a good bet. I personally don't fish there a huge amount because it is very, very fished heavily. A lot of people go there, but there are some cracking fish that come out. I like to fish up along the Foss itself, but I wouldn't hold out for anything absolutely massive, but you can get quite a lot of good bites along there. So what's my favourite rig to use? Yes, I have a couple that I enjoy and probably catch 90% of my fish on. Let me show you them. Right, the first rig that is one of my favourites is a very, very simple rig indeed, but it's caught me so many fish from rivers over the last year, and it's literally a simple stick float. You obviously got your shot down to, you can just about see a hook link there, a few more shot, and then a hook link with, what's this? This is about a size 14 hook on there, that might even be a 16. But you just run a few maggots through and a couple on this hook, and you literally wait until the bobber goes down and boom, fish on. It is one of the best methods that I use for river fishing. It's so effective, the presentation is excellent. So this is one of my key go-to methods. The other one, need to swap rods, hang on. The other rig that has caught me so many fish, and again is probably one of my go-to rigs, is just a simple free-running ledger setup. So down on this end you have just a clip swivel that I can attach either a feeder or just a straight weight to. I then have a quick change and then a hook link, which this one is probably a couple of foot long, easy. And then I'm currently fishing a size, it's actually a big hook, a size 10, because I'm using cheese paste a lot at the moment going after the chub. But simple, free running ledger rig like this catches me a lot of fish as well. So those two, either the stick float or just a free ledger, are my two go-to techniques. Yes, absolutely. This is why I really enjoy winter and cold fishing, because all of those little fish that you get played with in spring and summer that are all really, really active, all just seem to drift away, and the only ones that are active left are the bigger fish. So I do the predominant bulk of my big fish fishing, my specimen fish fishing, if you want to call it that, in winter. Things like chub, roach, pike are all fantastic to catch when the water is cold. However, it can make finding them very, very difficult, because obviously the cold water makes their metabolism drop a lot, being a cold-blooded species, so they're just much less active. So this is when the roving approach comes into its own. I try and fish as much as the riverbank as possible and drop into every little hole, every little slack, and even sometimes just try the faster water, because you just never know where they're going to be holed up. So it can be very, very difficult, but I think it's more rewarding. You get less bites, but bigger fish in the winter. So the next question is, are you going to collaborate with other YouTubers? Yes, this is something that I want to do and will probably happen. So most likely, so I'm going to put a name on this now, is John from Hooked Fishing Channel. So I've spoken to him a few times and he's an absolute top bloke. I love his channel. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. It's absolutely no nonsense fishing, and he talks through what he's doing, and he'll improve your fishing if you watch his channel. So yes, hopefully a collaboration with him sometime soon. I really want to go grayling fishing. I've never caught a grayling, and so I'm hoping that he's going to show me some of his grayling spots. Fingers crossed on that. So John, if you're watching, let's go grayling fishing sometime soon. This actually leads me on to the next question, because John sent in a whole plethora of questions, so we're going to run through some of those now. Have I ever considered match fishing or club fishing? Yes, I have. And back in Norfolk, where I'm from, I've actually fished a few matches for Lingham District Angling Club, so you can check them out. And I have enjoyed match fishing. It's something, it just improves your tightness in fishing. You have to be so much more accurate, you have to keep everything around you to hand, and I think it really improves your precision. And obviously the neater they are, the more likely you are to catch fish, and this is something that I try and take onto my river fishing as well. Would I ever fish with a pole or a whip? Yes, I would. 1 second. I picked up a couple of whips a while back, but I have yet to get out with them. I was sort of saving the whip fishing for a very specific video idea that I have in my mind. So hopefully that will be spring or summer, some whip fishing. A pole, very unlikely. It's just one of those techniques that seems a little bit daunting, and I'm not sure I would use it that much. What species would you most like to catch that you haven't achieved so far? Already gone through that, the grayling, so let's make that happen sometime soon, John. What do you think about commercial fisheries? Would you ever fish one, and why? Yeah, I've fished a few commercial fisheries. I think they're great to practice or try out new rigs on. You can obviously get quite a lot of bites if you do things right, you don't overfeed. So they are really, really great for trying things out on. And I fished a number, not very many in videos, however. It's more just when I want to go out, have some fun and catch some fish. So the next question is, where can I catch a 3-pound river roach in Norfolk? And this is a very good question. If I knew the answer to this, I'd be out there catching one right now. Most of the 3-pound roach you see are all from southern England. I do know of one that was caught in Norfolk, but this was a number of years ago. I think it was in the Angling Times or somewhere like this, and they didn't specify which river. They said from a southern Norfolk river. They also mentioned that the guy had been trying for 4 years, and he was on a 5-month blank targeting roach before he finally caught one. He was fishing bread and some punch bread on the hook, I think. So they are about there, but you're really going to have to put in the rod hours to find them. I would go the Wensum. I would possibly go the Broads if I had to choose one specific area or rivers to target. But as I said, I've yet to catch one, so that's just pure speculation on my part, really. So the final question is, what's your favourite fishing memory since you started the channel? And that's a really good question, because I've caught so many fantastic fish and been lucky enough to catch them on camera and share them on this channel. I think I would have to go back to the barbel fishing video, coming off that session where I lost 3 or 4 fish, and then finally on the next session catching one. That was a feeling unlike any other, and I'll remember that forever, I think. The second part of the question is, do you enjoy it more now you record it, or did you enjoy it more when you were doing it for fun? And that's another good one, because both have their plus and negative sides. I do enjoy recording videos and making them and sharing them, and you notice things that I previously probably wouldn't have noticed. Filming all of the B-roll really makes you look at the surroundings. But editing them, you do feel a little bit under pressure to keep producing good fish and make a better video than the last time. So sometimes it is nice just to get out there without the cameras and just catch some fish and do it for yourself, not because you want to make a video and upload it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this question and answer segment. If you didn't get your question answered, let me know in the comments section if you want me to do another one, and I might make that happen in another video. And just to say thank you for watching this slightly special episode, this 1-year anniversary episode of River Foss Fishing. I've caught some amazing fish, and I've been lucky enough to share that with you and receive amazing feedback and support from everyone on YouTube, so I really appreciate all my viewers. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.